Astrid Klein Lankhorst. She lives in the very northeast of the Netherlands. For her profession, she works as a psychosynthesis therapist. People go to her practice for issues about trauma and finding more meaning in their lives. In her field of experience, she had discovered that the application of logosynthesis is her tool of preference. With logosynthesis, she gets wonderful results. We are very happy to welcome Astrid with us.
Thank you so much, Monica, for this introduction. So I will give a demonstration today. And of course, I will not do that on my own. So I first want to introduce my much valued colleague, Clare Brule, and she will introduce herself.
Thank you, Astrid. And yeah, thank you very much for hosting all this beautiful conference and Logosynthesis Day to all the conference organizers. So my name's Clare. Just a quick introduction. I'm 47 years old. I'm the mother of 2 kids. I'm French, but I actually live in the Netherlands in the far south, and I've been living here for 4 years. I'm a business consultant. I'm a coach with my own company called Clare Sense, and where I help people and organizations to take action to access change. I've been using logosynthesis as a self-coaching tool since about 2016. And I've also recently joined the board of Logosynthesis in the Netherlands, the association to support the awareness raising of this beautiful and effective model and the application of a model in Dutch. And what I really, really love about logosynthesis is that it's a very soft and easy method, and it helps people become real actors of their healing and actors of their own development. And that's how I've been using it in coaching as well. And it's really, really nice to be here, to be part of this Logosynthesis Day. And I'm also delighted to be doing this demonstration with you, Astrid. So I'll let yourself guide me.
Thank you so much for that, Clare. Before we start, I will tell a little bit more about my work in my practice. I work with different kinds of trauma and fear. Some people come with clear PTSS-related symptoms. They may have been involved in a car accident or a painful medical treatment or a sudden loss of a beloved one. Other people come with a clear fear, maybe for something that will be happening in the nearby future, like maybe also a medical treatment or a vaccination, a presentation on stage or at school or work. And other people, and in fact many people, come to see me with more depression-like symptoms. Some way or another, they do not thrive. Their lives are difficult or meaningless. They are tired, ill, and sometimes burn out. Here it is my task to find out what has happened in their lives that was so overwhelming for them that some of their life energy has become stuck. So in this conference, I cannot show how I work with someone with a severe trauma, but my logosynthesis way of working in all different areas is not so much different. And so Clare and I will give you an impression of how logosynthesis can work. Let's see, I have to put this one. So, Clare, here we are together.
Hi, Astrid.
And I welcome you to tell me what issue you want to share with me and with us today.
Yes, well, yesterday was my first day back at sort of my work, the work that I do for as a consultant, and that was after about a break of 2 weeks after Christmas. And what's coming up is that a lot of kind of latent fears have come back alive, of course. And one of them is that I kind of felt inundated by all the tasks that are coming up my way at work. And so that's kind of what's active for me at the moment.
Okay, inundated.
Yes.
Tell me a bit more.
Well, it's, of course, before Christmas, there was a lot of activities going on. It's the end of the year. Lots of things need to be closed and finished off before the end of the year in the work I do. And I've kind of, everything was really flooding towards me. It was really feeling, yeah, kind of overwhelming. And it was kind of, it felt like, to me, I couldn't really handle everything. There were just too many. And there's only so many hours in a day. And it was like, I couldn't really understand anymore how I could fit it all in the week or in the days. And right now it's about the same, but obviously for what's coming this year. So it's kind of, even though I had a break and I actually managed to do everything I wanted to do in the end, but it's that feeling of discomfort that comes back because of all the volume of tasks that, yeah, come my way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a totally new experience. I've worked on it also already with logosynthesis. And I would say the sharpness of the worst experience is gone already, but some of it is still there. And yeah, I'd like to be able to sort of, I'd say, enter the new year in a slightly more comfortable and more pleasant way, rather than already feeling kind of drained or kind of pulled down by work.
Can you describe how that would look like if it would be different this year? What would you like? What would it look like if it was not so flooding?
It would, to me, it would mean that I have, it's not just more time, but kind of almost more space for being rather than doing, in a way, because I am very good at doing a lot of things, and I kind of indulge myself in making sure I can do more and more in tasks. And it's obviously a safe space because I know what it's like and I have no problem doing. But if you're asking me what I would hope to, in a more comfortable or more pleasant way, to be finding a bit of space, a little bit of even actually time to do the things well, outside perfectionism, but just enjoy the process of working rather than just trying to meet deadlines and produce outputs.
Sounds good. Enjoying the process of working.
Yes.
And if you look at this, you know clearly what you would like. What would you say, what is in the way? What is getting in your way? What's...
Well, what I've noticed is that as soon as I start kind of listing things that I have to do, at the same time, my mind tries to fit it, I think, in a bit of a schedule. And as long as I can fit it, I feel okay. And at some point, that one little, it's like the boundary is trespassed, that 1 or 2 or 3 additional tasks that's expected of me is just the one too many.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that's where I start reacting quite strongly and irrationally as well.
Mm-hmm. Boundaries are trespassed.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Bit of not being able to realize when my boundaries are well, I can see it coming, and yet I'm not sort of being able to stop it or to take the right approach to not go further into where it's not pleasant.
Mm-hmm. Not being able to stop it, to stop where it's so unpleasant.
Yeah, I quickly turn into a bit of a robot mode and a bit of a where it's kind of this is where I stop enjoying the process of working and I just try to fit it all and deliver and sort of work towards delivering. So there's no, I meet the expectation of others, but not necessarily my own expectations.
Turning into a robot model.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That doesn't sound so nice if you are telling this story.
Well, no, because it sounds like there's no other way. It sounds like, yeah, apart from switching off the robot.
There is no other way.
Yeah, and I know there is, because I know there is, I just don't see it.
Mm-hmm. If you go back in time, Claire,
Mm-hmm.
when was there a time in your life when you experienced also these boundaries that were trespassed?
Well, one memory is definitely when I was still in Paris, working as a consultant, mother of 2 young kids at the time, and traveling a lot. And I had a very demanding job where I had to travel in different countries, and that was that was really the peak of this.
Mm-hmm. And if you go back in time even a bit further, Claire, when you were younger, where in your life did you experience it's all too much, I'm overflooded, my boundaries are trespassed? In what situations?
School time, boarding school.
Boarding school.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Probably my first year in boarding school, which was quite a big change in rhythm and less family support, of course, and everything was very new and lots of new things to get used to, and new friendship to start, and quite a demanding school as well.
Mm-hmm. If you now look back at this time, especially this first year at boarding school, and you say it was such a demanding school, what images come up? What was so demanding at that time?
We had to, well, in particular, I actually think of my French teacher, who she actually also was the person who was kind of looking after our dormitories in the evening. So she was a teacher that stayed there at school. But specifically in class, she was asking of strict behavior and reading. You had to read, you had lists of books to read, and you had lots of exercises to do to prepare for the next day, lots of homework. That's, yeah. And she was insisting a lot on how it needed to be presented back to her, or how it was, it needed to be, her way, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And if it was not her way, what would happen?
Nothing dramatic, but you could see she was unhappy, that you could feel that she was disappointed, I suppose, also.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think she really wanted to have all her pupils or students really work well, because it was probably rewarding to her.
Mm-hmm.
So when this was not happening, she was, not happy.
How old were you then, Claire?
10 or 11.
Mm-hmm. And if you now look back to this French teacher, what happens if you let come up a memory to this demanding teacher who always wanted everything to be strict and would be very disappointed if you would not behave and do all the work?
Yeah, I see her in class, but there was kind of a little stage where she was sitting a bit more up than us, behind her desk, and she just couldn't stand the idea of anybody turning their head anywhere else than looking at her. So that's what's coming up right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Little Claire, 10 or 11, sitting in the class with this teacher on this little stage. And she wants all heads turned towards her. For a moment, become this little 10, 11-year-old girl in this classroom.
Mm-hmm.
How is it, little Claire, to be in this classroom with this teacher?
It is tense and intense.
Mm-hmm. How do you experience this tense in your body?
my body tenses up.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel that I have to sit straight and in the back of my chair. It's probably how I'm sitting right now, even.
Mm-hmm. The straight back in the chair and my belly tenses up.
Yeah.
What's happening in your emotions, little Claire sitting on this chair?
Well, I'm a bit, I suppose, impressed, a bit, there is kind of a relation of respect and authority in there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit of, I wouldn't call it fear, but yeah, I kind of, I'm aware, there's an awareness there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm listening carefully, and I'm mindful of what she'd say, and I don't want to kind of miss what she'd say.
Mm-hmm.
So being very attentive and very, very aware.
Mm-hmm. And this being attentive and aware, does that feel happy?
Well, happy not. I wouldn't call it happy.
Mm.
It
What's
is.
there?
It's serious. It's there's the part which is interesting and knowledge. It's kind of learning from somebody else. So that aspect, there was curiosity and wanting to get that knowledge. And at the same time, it was a bit of passive absorption of that knowledge. It wasn't done in a very fluid, easy way.
Mm-hmm. How does that feel, little Claire, sitting in that chair?
I suppose feeling a bit fragile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and whatever she'd say should be right, basically. That's kind of,
Mm-hmm.
don't think there was much way of suggesting any different than what she'd say, what she'd teach us.
Mm-hmm.
Challenging her was not really there, so it gives a little bit of a one-sided, it limits your creativity, really.
Mm-hmm. It limits your creativity. There was no way of challenging her.
Yeah, so you feel no openness, really. It's a bit closed up. It's it's a bit of a one-way communication channel.
Mm-hmm. Okay, little Claire, if you would tell me a number of how distressful this is to experience, sitting in this classroom with this teacher, with your belly tensed up, with this fragility, limited feelings about creativity. It's all so serious, so authoritative.
I'd say about a 6.
Mm-hmm. And now experience by what is now appearing in your personal space. What is causing this 6 of distress? Is it the image of the teacher, or is it maybe something she says, or is it maybe something else? What is causing this distress of 6?
To me, it's more, I see myself writing lines of words.
Okay.
I have my sort of little paper in front of me and I'm listening and I'm writing.
Okay, so you see yourself. You see yourself sitting there and writing.
Yeah, I'm seeing my hand sort of, I see blue lines of words. I can't read those words really, but.
I see blue lines of words. And you look, when you look at these blue lines of words.
Well, it's. I tense up as I write them. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of writing. I mean, it's like filling in the page.
There's a lot of writing. I see blue lines of words. And there is a lot of writing.
Yeah, it's filling up the page. It's yeah, and it needs to be, you know, neatly written and no grammar or spelling mistakes. But that's actually not what. That's
Keep
okay.
Looking at the paper.
Manage that.
Keep looking at this paper and experience what's going on inside when you look at these blue lines of words in front of you. Be aware of what happens inside of you.
Well, I feel adrenaline going down my legs, basically.
Okay. I've got a sentence for you. And just speak after me. I retrieve all my energy.
I retrieve all my energy.
Bound up in these blue lines of words.
Bound up in these blue lines of words.
And everything they represent.
And everything they represent.
And take it to the right place in myself.
And take it to the right place in myself.
I remove all non-me energy.
I remove all non-me energy.
Connected to these blue lines of words.
Connected to these blue lines of words.
And everything they represent.
And everything they represent.
From all of my cells.
From all of my cells.
All of my bodies.
All of my bodies.
All of my personal space.
All of my personal space.
And send it to where it truly belongs.
And send it to where it truly belongs.
I retrieve all my energy.
I retrieve all my energy.
Bound up in all my reactions.
Bound up in all my reactions.
To these blue words.
To these blue words.
And everything they represent.
And everything they represent.
And take it to the right place in myself.
And take it to the right place in myself.
What's now?
Well, during the sentences, I had a bit of dizziness, actually.
Take some water, Claire.
Yes. I see the page, but I'm at the end of a page, and it's a white page.
Okay, I see the page. I'm at the end of the page, and it's white.
Yes, it's funny, but I still hold my pen.
I still hold my pen.
Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
How's that?
I don't know. It's like it's all these words have disappeared, and it feels lighter.
It feels lighter. Okay. The fact that you hold this pen in your hand at this moment, is that somehow doing anything?
Well, I don't know what comes is that I feel like I could just do anything on this page, that I could just draw on the page, really.
Okay.
That it doesn't need to be words.
It doesn't need to be words. I could just do anything I want on this page. I have a sentence for you.
Yes.
I tune all my systems
I attune all my systems
to this new awareness
to this new awareness.
and let it work. Okay, what's now? You take some water.
As you said, the last sentence, it kind of, the energy went down all along my spine and kind of, I don't know, I feel more grounded, really. It kind of, I feel seated and grounded.
Okay, are you still in the classroom at the boarding school as a 10-year-old Claire?
I can still see the classroom.
I can see the classroom. So as an adult woman now, you look back at this classroom where this 10-year-old Claire was writing all these lines. If you now look at this,
Yeah, well, one small thing that comes up is that I realized that through the whole process, I didn't even feel there were other students or anybody else in that classroom, which is interesting. And I mean, that the teacher was a lovely lady, and she was old. She was it was about time for her to retire, as I, had her in my first year. And yeah, I think she just wanted to do her job well and not necessarily scare us in any way, but she had her old style of teaching, really. But yeah, I mean, it was up to us to really take what we wanted from it, really, at the end of the day. So, and I learned a great lot from her, including reading books, even though that was not really what I loved doing at the time.
Okay, so she was just a lady and she wanted to do her teaching the best she could. And if you now look at this teacher, is there still anything in you that would like to do something for her so that she wouldn't be disappointed?
I don't know if she's still alive, frankly, but it would be quite lovely to meet her and, you know, kind of tell her where I am right now. And yeah, that she was probably, you know, yeah, she's been actually a person of reference really in my boarding school, because she was a pillar of that boarding school.
Okay, so it's also a kind of good memory now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, so what would happen, Claire, if you would take this experience of this white page that you met today, the white page and the pen in your hand, and the possibility to do with the paper whatever you want? You can write all the lines, but you can also draw. If you take this to the here and now in your life now, being in such a busy job, if you take this image into the here and now.
I think what the lesson learned kind of is to look at the big picture rather than at the details of the words. So sort of draw in a way where that, like, you know, the vision of things and sort of see the lump of things as a circle of tasks to do, rather than, you know, at every single one of them and sort of tick them off. But what can be done as an overall activity or as an overall way of approaching all these tasks that could be more effective than, you know, taking them one by one and ticking them off, because it would be less robot and it would be a little bit more strategic to look at things in a broader umbrella type of way, rather than, you know, go down to details straight away.
Okay, so less robot. Less
robot, more helicopter view in a way, more visionary view, more kind of overall, rather than drill down to details.
And when will you know that there is still too much for you to live this life with a job where you will really enjoy your work?
Say that again. Tell me again.
You said it was so difficult to feel when your boundaries are trespassed. So how could you feel? How could you know in this new picture that you have of your white paper with now the circle in it, more helicopter view? How could you notice that it is too much?
When I start having a full list on my page.
Okay.
It shouldn't go beyond that page. When it goes beyond that page, it needs to shape differently.
Okay. What could you do if it would go beyond the page?
Tear off the page and start drawing, how, like, reshaping the page differently.
To whom would you say no then?
To whom would I say no? That's a good question. It's a bit too easy to say no to others. I think I need to say no to myself in a way, as in no more than what I'm writing now. Of course, what I'm writing comes from others, but I should really stop myself when I see that I write all of this. Stop myself, say no more, say no to myself.
Okay, so one part of Claire has to say no to another part of Claire.
Sounds like it, yes.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, this part you have to say no to. Can you describe that part? How does this part look like, this part that you have to say no to? What is that? What is that part?
It's the part that's probably too soft in a way, too yeah. It's wanting to please, I suppose.
So that's the one part. Which is the other part? The demanding, how does that part look like?
Wanting to control.
So there is a part that wants to control.
Yes.
How do you know this part? Can you see it? Can you hear it? What's there?
Feel it.
You can feel it. Okay. And where in your space do you notice this part that wants to control? Is it more in front of you or above you or behind you? To the left, to the right? Where is this part?
It's more on the left side, more towards the in front of me, more on the left.
And what happens to you in the chair when you notice this part of you on the left that wants to control?
Sorry, so which, the controlling part, what does it feel? Is it?
No, you in your chair experiencing this
sorry.
part on the left. What happens to you in the chair if you notice this controlling part?
It feels hard. It feels rough and hard.
If you would give a number on the scale, how rough and hard would it be?
Yeah, it's rock-like.
Rock-like.
It's an 8.
I retrieve all my energy.
I retrieve all my energy.
Bound up in this controlling part.
Bound up in this controlling part.
On the left.
On the left.
And take it to the right place in myself.
Take it to the right place in myself.
I remove all non-me energy.
I remove all non-me energy.
Connected to this controlling part.
Connected to this controlling part.
And everything it represents.
And everything it represents.
From all of my cells.
From all of my cells.
All of my bodies.
All of my bodies.
All of my personal space.
All of my personal space.
And send it to where it truly belongs.
And send it to where it truly belongs. It's a cold part.
Mhm. I retrieve all my energy.
I retrieve all my energy.
Bound up in all my reactions.
Bound up in all my reactions.
To this cold part.
To this cold part.
And take it to the right place in myself.
And take it to the right place in myself.
What's now?
Well, I kind of just linked it to a body feeling that I've had for a long time on my left shoulder. It keeps cracking here and there. So I don't know, it feels like it has released some of that as well. And that was on my left side.
Okay. What's there still on your left? Is there something you can still sense? The heart part, is there still something there?
No, it's cleared up. It's
okay.
no, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
There's still something happening right now, but
Okay.
it doesn't. It's physical symptoms more than anything else.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so maybe this story is not completely ended today. There may be something more to explore. But if we go back to where we started, that you felt so flooded by all the work right now, today in January, and you now noticed that one, you could start with an image of a blank paper and have a circle on it, no more robot-like work. And the other one might be that, well, there seemed to be a part of you couldn't say no to.
Mm-hmm.
But something has changed now. What's changed?
I don't know. It's kind of the sensation right now is that there's more space.
Uh-huh.
There's more physical space, but also actually kind of space in my mind to reflect.
Mm-hmm. That's what you wanted.
Yeah.
That's what you told us in the beginning, more space.
Yes. Well, the start of the year is a good time to sort of at least draw, what your main goals, and we all talk about our New Year's resolution, but I'm not very good at that. So at least maybe I can draw my goals and vision for the year. That would be a good start. Yes.
So to whom do you have to say no when it is starting to become too much?
To that controlling part.
Okay, still a little bit there?
Maybe a bit.
Story will be to be continued.
Yes.
Okay, say again, I feel more space.
Yes, I feel more space.
Okay,
Yes.
I have a sentence for you.
Yes.
I tune all my systems
I tune all of my systems
to this new awareness.
to its new awareness. Yes, feels good.
Thank you so much, Claire, for telling me this story and the things that came around. And I'm very happy you wanted to work with me, and we can pick up later. For today, well done to you.
And thank you for guiding me so well. Thank you.
It's a pleasure, Claire.